This screencast is some extra practice example problems for IXL L4. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my absolute value part and I'm going to set it up into two inequalities. One looks exactly the same. The other, we are going to change the inequality symbol and change the sign of the 4. So I'm going to solve both of those. After solving both inequalities, I have c is less than or equal to -9, and c is greater than or equal to c is less than or equal to -1, c is greater than or equal to -9. So I'm going to have my closed point at -9, my closed point at -1, and then these will connect together. For the second example, I chose this because it's kind of written backwards, but we're still going to do it the same way. One inequality looks exactly the same. The other, I changed the symbol here and I changed the sign. So we're going to solve for z for both. So when they're solved, we get that 10 is greater than z and 8 is less than z. So we have to keep in mind that we can't use that little shortcut and says, oh, it means it's pointing this way because z is listed second. So if I take a look at this inequality, it says 10 is greater than z, which means z is less than 10. So I'm going to have an open point at 10, and my arrow is going to be going to the left. At 8, I have an open point, and because z is greater than 8, my arrow is going to be going to the right. So these would actually be connected points. For this example, first thing we have to do is we got to get that absolute value by itself. So I'm going to start by adding 3 to both sides. So now we'll have absolute value of p plus 6 is less than or equal to 1. And now we can split it into the two inequalities where one of them looks exactly the same. The other is p plus 6 is now greater than or equal to -1, and we can solve for p. After solving, we get p is less than or equal to -5, and p is greater than or equal to -7, so we'll have 2 points and they will connect. For this last example, again, we want to get that absolute value by itself, so first thing we're going to do is divide both sides by -3. So the absolute value would stay the same, u minus 55. Because we're dividing by a negative, the inequality is changing direction, and then -60 divided by -3 would be positive 20. So now we have u minus 55 is greater than or equal to 20, and u minus 55 is less than or equal to -20. And we will solve for both. So after we solve, we get u is greater than or equal to 75. So we have a point at 75, arrow going to the right. U is less than or equal to 35, and we're done.